The Patriot Mech is here. You can buy it under the Robotics Workshop. You need to be at least level 25 and it's 20,000 requisition slips in games. It's quite expensive, but for those of you who've been playing the game quite a bit, it's quite easy to farm up to that amount, so buy it. At the moment, you get one free call-in. Once you purchase the stratagem, you get an additional 2 call-ins. And if my maths is right, that gives you 3 call-ins every time you go to kill anything. Call it down like any usual stratagem, except it gets dropped off by a gunship, and the gunship can shoot. Visually, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but there is already going to be skins that are coming out for it, which I've seen already leaked. So that's an interesting point to consider. It has 2 arms. Both arms can be destroyed. One is a Gatling gun. One has 14 rockets. The rockets, when you shoot them, disappear out of the launcher that's in there, which is quite a nice little detail. The maneuverability is a little bit clunky sometimes, but generally it's quite smooth when you're just going over flat terrain, although that isn't really a thing much in Helldivers 2. Generally walk over some small rocks. Again, it might just get stuck on them, and then all of a sudden it will just walk up on top of it. Hooray! You generally want to be using this in a bit more of an elevated position, because then you can just dominate the battlefield, but you can't necessarily walk up cliff faces to get to them elevated positions. You can't use this in that format. You want to be looking for terrain where you've got that kind of smooth transition, a slope if you would say so, to give you that elevated position to kind of stand up on, look around, pour that firepower down, and then step off without there any being damaged. So that you can definitely do. With all stratagems in this game, it's going to take up a slot if you buy it. So you might be using the rover and thinking, can I use that in it? No, you can't. When you step in, the guard dog rover is going to basically go back into your backpack for both of the stratagems that basically are the guard dogs. One key point though is that you can put your shield backpack on, and the shield gives you armor inside the mech Patriot. I don't know if it's meant to be that way, but it feels a little bit wrong. So let's hell dive in a bit to the actual weapons itself. You don't get any fall off on the rockets over distance, which is brilliant. So you see shooting nearer targets, no weapon, no bullet drop, rocket drop, whatever you want to call it. And even at distance, it's the same. You basically fire and forget. The rockets are quite powerful. You're going to be looking between 2 and 4 rockets to take out a bot drop. And the minigun is just exactly what you would expect it to be. It's a light armor penetrating one. It won't punch holes through the side of chargers, but you can use the rockets to punch holes in the side of chargers, and then you can finish them off with the Gatling gun, minigun. It's really powerful in that sense. The mech struggles a little bit against the automatons because it's basically a glass cannon, so it's going to pour out a lot of firepower, but you can't take too much damage, and especially when you're against the rocket devastators, the missiles could be coming in from anywhere. Talking about missiles, the missile straight into the vents, fabricators, takes them out 1 shot. And that's actually really nice when you're moving around. And the same thing for bug holes. Just 1 rocket into a bug hole, pop, that bug hole is gone. Bile Titans, you're going to be anywhere between 2 missiles in the mouth up to about 6 or 8, depending on the level of difficulty and whereabouts you're going to be shooting them. You really need to treat the Patriot as a support weapon and not your primary damage dealer or mode of transport, because it has a finite amount of ammo, and that's one thing you really need to consider about this. So it's going to be between 2 and 4 rockets to take out a charger. Again, depending on when you hit them. If you hit them in the legs, it's going to be 2 shots, because then you can finish them off with a machine gun. At the moment, it's meant to have a stomp feature. For some people, it seems to be working. For others, it doesn't. For me, every time I use the Patriot Mech, it never works. The melee never works on it. And as a result, when a charger gets in your face, you're going to die. But from a general usability point of view, it's going to be 1 missile to take out the mini walkers. I think they ripped off Star Wars when they did this. And just a general pouring of ammo onto everything else to take it out. That's both going to be the bugs and the automatons. You're probably going to go in through a lot more rockets for the automatons because they have a lot more armored units to deal with. And you are going to die more often in the Patriot against the automatons because of the weaponry and the guns that they have. Shooting you at distance, it's going to cause your Patriot to burn. It's going to cause it to burn even more, and then all of a sudden, it's going to blow up. General usage around bot drops and tanks is Sometimes if I want to shoot the drop, I'm going to, but generally I'm going to be just trying to shoot everything on the floor. The tanks, you're going to be looking at about 5 to 7 shots unless you can get it round from behind, but generally when I see them bot drops, I am out of here. Where the Patriot Mech really comes into its own is basically crowd and horde control. Just pouring down that fire with there's no elemental effects on this. You don't need to thinking about like when you use a las cannon, it's going to overheat. You just literally hold that mouse button down and you just pour democracy all over everything. You do feel like you feel like something out of Titanfall when you're playing this. You just pouring down them bullets, just murdering everything. It's a great support weapon, and that's like I said before. It's just got to consider this a support weapon. You call it in when things are getting a little bit sharp, a little bit, oh god, and you just want to pour down that just constant level of fire to just hold them back while you're either doing an objective, extracting. It's just a really strong, stable, anchoring fire point, which is basically how I tend to play sometimes when I'm in a bit more of a support role, is bring like the auto cannon sentry and pivot around this. You can do that same kind of function with this by hitting them on the flanks, someone running around, you in the Patriot, just pouring down just bullets and rockets everywhere, just dominating and destroying everything to give you that breathing space. So there we have it. That's my thoughts on the Patriot Mech. It's good at hoarding and crowd control. Sometimes against the elites, if they're getting overwhelm you're going to run out of the rockets to put them down, but a great support weapon to pivot around. Use it wisely, like to support with objectives. Maybe don't all bring in one at the same time, because that's not really what it's there for. It's to give you that firepower link that maybe you're kind of lacking a little bit. But it's ultimately a glass cannon. It can't take a lot of damage. It has very high rates of fire, good damage output. You can pretty much rinse through everything. So yeah, let me know what you think. How are you getting on with the mech? Is it as good as you thought it would be? Are you dying from meteor showers? Because I've been hit by a couple of these before. Are you struggling to take out the Bile Titans when they get really close to you? And the fact that then they fall over onto you and kill you with their legs, which is, tell you what, is so frustrating sometimes. Especially when playing Helldive difficulty. And like, if you just touch their legs the tiniest little bit, you die. Anyway,